Hey, everybody, what a day. Another day, another erratic Donald Trump press conference. Over the last couple of days, Donald Trump interviewed by Axios' Jonathan Swan, and that went very, very poorly. Just lost a nut. Look at that. Went very, very poorly. And I guess in order to redeem himself, he tried to do an interview on Fox and Friends this morning, and it went almost as poorly. Like, given that it was meant to be a softball interview, it went almost as poorly. And I have a few different clips from it that we might look at a little bit later. But I do want to first issue a very important disclaimer. We will never be anti-Yosemitic on this channel. Okay, it will never happen. Remember this from yesterday? This is my commitment to you. Anti-Yosemites will never be allowed here. Take a listen.
When their eyes widen in amazement as Old Faithful bursts into the sky, when they gaze upon Yosemite.
We are not going to be against Yosemites nor Yoseminites on this channel. That's my commitment to you. And I expect you to absolutely hold me to it. What else do we have today? We actually have some extremely notable internet superstars who have been stopping by the streams lately. We have today, again, we are graced by the incomparable Grandmaster Benjamin Feingold over on Twitch. Yesterday, Benjamin Feingold was here. So was Philip DeFranco, it was really him. He sent a super chat yesterday and he gifted some subs as well. So we have a lot of notable and extremely respected people coming by, which is interesting nonetheless. And I think, you know, what I think has really polarized the Twitch and YouTube community is this unfortunate shot across the bow from Sam Seder that happened yesterday. You know, I think Sam was trying to rally the troops to get him to 1 million YouTube subscribers before me. And you know, to some degree, I think it fired up his supporters. But it has also brought all sorts of people out of the woodwork on my end. And I don't know that that was really what Sam intended. And it's getting very, very ugly. I've actually hired celebrity lawyer Mark Garagos to represent me. I don't know why I need representation, but I just feel like when Sam Seder shoots across your bow, you hire Mark Garagos. And it almost made me think I should hire that guy that defended George Zimmerman, Mark O'Mara, because I'm going to need to bring out the big guns here. I'm expecting something to get very, very ugly. Now, I don't want to say more about that because soon we may be taking legal action. And if you don't know anything about what I'm talking about, good. But I will have a detailed clip publishing tonight at, I think, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Or 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that'll be later today. What else do I have for you guys today? As we wait, the United States likely tomorrow will hit 5 million cumulative coronavirus cases. That's a tragic number. This is where, you know how Trump says we're last, which makes us first? This is an instance where we are first, which makes us very, very much dead last. Another 43,000 cases today. Now, I really need everybody to understand this. Florida stopped testing on Thursday because of the hurricane. The hurricane, of course, Isaias, which Donald Trump really struggles to say, but it's Isaias. And Florida stopped testing on Thursday, and they were scheduled to resume today. So when we see Florida with only 5,400 new cases, where they were having 10, 12, 14,000, it's not a conspiracy. They announced we are not testing until the hurricane passes. California yesterday announced that they had been underreporting cases. So at minimum, Florida and California, without getting conspiratorial, just going by what they've said, are underreporting cases. And of course, yesterday we again had close to 1,400 cases. It's very bad. Georgia school districts, one has 260 people exposed or tested positive because of crowding in Georgia schools. A kid who took pictures of the crowding in Georgia and published them to social media, instead of being thanked by the school district, he was suspended. Can you imagine? So it's getting very, very bad, and we're going to be talking about that. Just keep an eye on, okay, we're not live yet. We already did Yosemite. Update on the projections from the standpoint of YouTube subscriptions. Thanks to you amazing people, we have moved up the expected date on which we will hit 1 million subscribers. Could have sworn that light just blinked. By 3 weeks. As of last week, we weren't expecting to hit 1 million until January 9th. Thanks to you guys, it has been pushed up to December 16th. Only 43 days to go. My goal is November 3rd. Election day, I would like to hit 1 million subscribers. So that's all going very, very well. My discussions about churning ideas and French pressing ideas, it made it onto the Dave Rubin subreddit. David Pacman is churning and hydraulically pressing ideas. I love that this made it over there. And I think it's somebody who's probably watching right now. Remember this from yesterday?
I mean, listen, there's a cheap way to dramatically accelerate my following, which is to have some political awakening where I find truth and see the light and denounce everything. Right? We're not going to do that.
No.
Okay? If I can't get to 1 million subscribers based on doing what I actually believe, wink, wink, then I'm not going to get to 1 million subscribers, and that's it. That's it. I'm churning ideas here. I'm French pressing ideas. I am, extracting ideas very powerfully like an espresso machine. I'm sautéing ideas and all of these other things. And they are going to be my ideas. I'm not going to do, we know about grifting. We know about grifting very powerfully.
Exactly. So I really loved seeing that over on the Dave Rubin subreddit, which it seems like he completely lost control of his subreddit. The few times I've gone over there, it seems people hate him on his own subreddit, which is crazy. We are going to be distilling ideas. I will be using double osmosis, reverse. Is it double or reverse? Reverse or double osmosis? Double reverse, even triple reverse I might do with ideas, and it's going to be great. We are already almost at a level 4 hype train on Twitch, which is crazy. Braising ideas like a Hanukkah brisket, absolutely. Let me do a couple of super chats because they are coming in very fast and furious, and I don't want to fall behind. What did I have for lunch? I actually had tom yum soup. It's one of my favorite soups. If you came to me and you said, David, gun to your head, you've got to rank your top 5 soups. Up with matzo ball soup, and up with what other are my favorite soups? I mean, listen, matzo ball soup and tom yum are certainly some of my favorite soups. Hot and sour. So hot and sour, tom yum, and matzo ball soup are probably my 3 favorite soups. And maybe chicken noodle as well. But yeah, I had my tom yum soup. Chakuseki says, can we petition the Space Force to launch Donald Trump into the sun so he can harvest all the raw solar plasma for the U.S.? Thanks, David. That's an idea. Stuart says, hey, Pac Daddy, what are your thoughts on Trump encouraging mail-in ballots in Florida specifically? I have a broad and long clip about that that's going to be publishing to YouTube today, so I try to avoid duplicative content on the streams. Dark Chip says, will we see a plasma party soon? I think so. Maestro Cam says, Trump just tweeted an Obamagate video on Twitter. Okay, maybe we'll look at that a little later. Ryan Nowicki says, Bush signed Directive 51 in 2007. It gives broad emergency powers to POTUS. Have you read about it? Please give your thoughts soon. If not, I've read about it a little, but not enough to comment. Unknown Prodigy says, wait, Sam Cedar was serious? Is this a joke? The rift that has plagued the progressive media community as a result of Sam Cedar taking the unprecedented step of accusing me of using bots to boost my subscriber numbers has divided the. It's very, very real. It's very real, and I'm kidding. It's not real, but it's funny. Zachary Foster says, Andy Slavitt said last night on CNN that the next important step is Fauci and others to reassure skeptics of the vaccine released by the Trump administration. Yeah, I actually was, I'm preparing, I actually do prepare material for my show. I do try to get things right. And I'm preparing a segment Friday about what percentage of the population do I expect not to get the vaccine. A poll from May 27th and another from June 30th both said half the country don't plan on getting the coronavirus vaccine. We will not have herd immunity if that's the case, and I'm going to go into detail about that on Friday. Let me say a few Twitch thank yous. Sahira has subscribed with Prime. Bit101 and Boy Meets Mini have cheered. Spudnik19 has gifted 10 subscriptions. Grandmaster Benjamin Feingold has sent a cheer. Erica has subscribed. So has Tysis and Coil Twitch Bot. Okay, and that's it. That's what's going on. And we do have a level 4 hype train going on. A few people to thank for signing up on my website. Sean McInturf is new member number 1 today. Also, Michael Zakaria is number 2. Nancy Jo Chatham, Chatham like Chatham, Massachusetts on Cape Cod, is number 3. Jacob Herbert, you are new member number 4. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's everybody. Very exciting. I am expecting Donald Trump to take questions today. Okay, people, I'm getting this question lately because of all these polls that say Biden's up 10, Biden's up 12, Biden's up 15. The idea is, what is Trump's path to victory? You don't have to go crazy to think about Trump's path to victory. The path to victory is the following. First and foremost, if a poll says Biden is up 10 and the margin of error is 3.5, that could mean Biden is really only up 3. And we know that you can win the popular vote by 2.2 like Hillary did in 2016 and still lose. So in other words, if you believe the polls, if you look at a poll that says Biden plus 10 and you believe it is accurate today, with a 3.5 margin of error, that could mean Biden is 3.5 lower, Trump is 3.5 higher. 10 is really a 3-point lead. 2.2 could mean Trump wins again with small margins in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, et cetera, which means the real situation, even believing the polls, could be that if Trump can pick up 1 point between now and November, he can win. So you don't need to go like into conspiratorial stuff or October surprises or anything. It could be within the margin of error. Trump might only be down 3 right now. And if a vaccine starts, yes, I know it goes both ways. And yeah, right. It could also be Biden's winning by more. But you get a vaccine that starts going to healthcare workers in October. You get more plasma, whatever, into Florida, all over the place, however you pronounce your A's. And Trump can take credit for it. And 3 becomes 2.2. And that's the situation in 2016. So you've got that. In addition to this, we now have reports that claim that the voter registration numbers. Now, this is how many Democrats are registered versus how many Republicans are registered. That the numbers of registration in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, what was the other state? Maybe Ohio, that Republicans have gained an advantage in terms of the number of registered voters. Now, there may be more Republicans, but they may not vote, right? But this is what I'm trying to explain to people. There's too many people that are of the mindset that Biden's crushing Trump and something major has to happen to reverse it. Not really. And in fact, let's pull up, I think my 10 is an exaggeration. If you look at the Real Clear Politics average, let's look at Trump versus Biden. So look at this. The average of these polls is Biden plus 7. Most of the polls have a margin of error of 3.5, which applies to each candidate. 3.5 doesn't mean in a poll that's plus 7, it's either plus 3.5 or plus 10.5. It's the Biden support could be off by 3.5. And the Trump support could be off by 3.5. So Biden averaging plus 7 means it could be tied right now. All right. I don't want to belabor this, but let's leave it there. So when people say dream up a scenario where Trump could win, I don't need to. It's just Trump could win. Trump could be winning right now in some key states. And we all have to be very, very careful about that. We are in the middle of a level 5 hype train on Twitch. We have 3 minutes to complete level 5. And I think that it's conceivable that it might happen. Okay. Christopher Gilliam says, whatever issue causing your feed to die via mobile app seems specific to your channel. I got reports yesterday that a lot of YouTube streams were having problems on mobile. I can assure you it is not on our end. We've checked in with our tech team at YouTube. Jacob Ball says, Pacman leading Sater 918 to 911,000. Team Pacman, but not unsubbing from the majority report because why would I? Beautiful. That's exactly right. And I'm trying to see here. We are at, 918,000. You're exactly right. Exactly right. Waffles Giraffle says, David, you have to read the manuals, read the books. Yeah. Those would tell me that testing is bad, right? Paul Milbank says, somebody at YouTube is a diehard Trump supporter. 2 consecutive days of your stream crashing. That's ugly. Erythropathac says, chess, let black move first. Switch roles, king and queen. Oh my God. How boring. Thomas Collier says, what makes you think Trump would never go to prison despite all the investigations into his businesses and stuff that were before his election? This is not a country that sends former presidents to prison. I am not giving you my opinion of whether Trump deserves to go to prison. I'm just saying if people are waiting around for Trump to go to prison, I think you're going to be waiting around for a very long time. RC from the NYC. Many people aren't realizing that Donald Trump isn't trying to save his presidency. He's trying to save his name brand. Right. The idea being that he could lose, but say it's rigged and all of this stuff and kind of try to save face. I don't think that that's crazy, but Trump is very narcissistic. I don't think he can. I think he'll, after the fact, come up with some rationalization like that. Thanks to Calf Flyaway for the Twitch Prime sub, as well as Tan Man, who has gotten us to a level 5 hype train completion. We've completed it. You don't want to start tasks and leave them undone. And that's exactly what just happened. Let's look at just maybe like one clip here. This is from Fox and Friends this morning. I have an entire segment about this on my YouTube channel right now. Did that publish? It did. So I won't go over all of it, but here is Trump given a third attempt at what do you want to do in your second term? And he still can't answer it. He lists some races and ethnicities, but he still can't answer the question.
Mr. President, what is your second term agenda? What are your top priorities?
Nasty question.
I want to take where we left. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were better than any other country. We were better than we were ever. We never had anything like it.
We were better than we were ever.
160 million people working. We've never had that before. We've never even come close.
Now, do you guys want me to do the labor force participation explainer or not? If you guys want me to do it, I'll do it because that was relevant. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. Some people say no. Some people say yes. No need. Okay. All right, fine. We'll keep going.
So that best employment numbers, best unemployment
numbers.
I'll
do it. Okay.
For African American, Asian American, women, Hispanic, everybody. The best numbers we've ever.
Great numbers for Hispanic.
Had the best stock market we've ever had, although we're coming very close right now. In fact, NASDAQ is already higher than that number.
That's NASDAQ. That's 2 Z's, 2 G's, if you're wondering how that's spelled. NASDAQ. Trump has made that a very long word. Okay, here is the labor force participation trick in short order. You might remember Barack Obama's president, Republicans, more people than ever aren't working today. We have a record number of people not working. Trump becomes president. First jobs report comes out. We have more people than ever working today. How could that? What? How could that possibly be? Here's the trick. The U.S. population continues to grow. If you have unemployment roughly equal at any given time, you can say accurately more people than ever are working today and more people than ever are not working today. Now, of course, as baby boomers retire, that shifts it in one direction. You have a pandemic and you have a lot of unemployment, shifts it in a direct. I get that, but that's the trick. It's just we have 331 million people. We used to have 320. Now we've got 100,000 more people working than ever before and 100,000 people not working, more people not working than ever. It's a stupid trick. It's a very, very dumb trick. Okay, we're getting closer to this event getting started, which is very important. Okay, a few other people to thank. Matt Heater is new member number 5 today at joinpacman.com. Sean Coleman is new member number 6. Ash Stevens is new member number 7 today. Benjamin Hanser and Maya Weaver are numbers 8 and 9. I thanked Sean McInturf already. Well, you get 2 thank yous, Sean. You only count once, but you get 2 thank yous. Okay, my name is Jimmy Brodigan, says, David, what do you think about Kanye at this point in the presidential race? Is he relevant anymore? No, I was never talking about Kanye. Kanye admittedly suffers from bipolar disorder. I think that what we saw from Kanye over the last four weeks was essentially an acute medical event, a mental illness event. I don't think it's particularly funny. He seems to be very, very ill. I don't think the presidential run is interesting. I think it's completely uninteresting, in fact. And I really don't have much else to say about it other than he seems to need help. That's all. I think it's an episode. Neptune says, has Trump ever done the dishes, David? I don't think so. I doubt it. I don't think Trump has ever done dishes. Inedible Trout grabbed a membership. Azim Abu Khalil says, please spread awareness amongst the public, particularly individuals, parties of influence, about the horrific persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China. Yeah, we're working on an interview related to that, in fact. Jake says, is it just me? Oh, where did Jake go? Is it just me, or are there a ridiculous amount of Trump ads on YouTube? How much is he spending? Don Jr. talking into his webcam is violently jarring. I haven't seen that. Renholder says, do you think news networks will catch on to the fact that they could have days of election results coverage instead of just one night because of mail-in? You know, that's interesting. I really don't. When Trump says we might not know the results for years, that's obviously idiotic. When Trump says it might take a few days to get the results, who cares? I want the correct results. I'll wait. He's president until January 20th. Why do I need them on November 3rd? I'll take the right answer on November 8th. It's not a big deal. I'm not worried about it. Alex Marek says, thoughts on the Nevada lawsuit. I assume you mean Trump's lawsuit to stop expanded vote by absentee by mail. That's what I'm calling it. I haven't seen the lawsuit. Jennifer Busato asks, what's Twitch? It's a totally different platform where really crazy things happen. Very, very crazy things happen on Twitch. I was thinking earlier, you know, there's this entire thing about vote by mail's bad, but absentee's good. And we're really talking about expanded absentee access. Why we should look at a rebrand on it. And my idea was universal absentee ballots, absentee by mail. I'm voting absentee by mail to kind of try to diffuse this entire vote by mail versus absentee thing. It's an idea. Underscore Door says, do you think Kanye will have a big impact on the election? No, I don't think so. Unknown Prodigy says, I've been listening to Trump's insanity for so long that it's affecting my judgment when people are making jokes. I have to take a break. Not sure I know what you mean. Thanks to BookMD for the subscription. Baron Steuben says, tell Pat I say hi. All right, I will. Sharknado Herbo says, watch you every day. How is Iowa doing on COVID? I don't know. Let's take a look. Iowa. Where is Iowa? Here it is. Under 1,000 deaths. Seems to be sort of linear growth. They've been essentially in a holding pattern for 3.5 months. So it's getting slightly worse. Let's look at a moving average. The moving average has been worsening. So it seems Iowa basically improved from about May 8th until June 19th. And then much like many other states, from June 19th until now, it's been getting worse. In terms of deaths starting to spike around July 6th. It's the exact same pattern we've seen in many states, which is cases start to go up in mid to late June, and then deaths start to go up right around between July 8th and 10th. It's the exact same pattern that we've seen in a whole bunch of different states. Satu Gustafson says, so scared and don't even live in the United States. Remember the Sorry Everybody website in 2004? If you botched this in November, you so need to recreate that. Yeah, I have a story that I put together for tomorrow's show called We Owe the World an Apology and an Explanation. I think you can probably infer the gist of that story. And I will tell you more about that tomorrow. People asking if there's a chess stream today. Yeah, so after this stream, I'm going to be doing a Twitch-only stream, continuing my preparation, and that's a term I'm using very loosely, continuing my preparation for Chess.com's PogChamps 2 tournament. Today, I will be with Alexandra Botez. And tomorrow, if you missed my lesson with Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, that will be published in full to YouTube tomorrow. And then tonight it will be live with Alexandra Botez, and that will then be published to YouTube maybe Friday or something like that. So, yeah. Okay, what else do we have? Bolo Turner says, am I a bot? I hope not. Alex Walker says, what does a lame duck Trump look like, considering there's no more need to pander to his base? There's two possibilities. Outrageously unhinged, or recedes into even more TV watching at the White House, doesn't even leave the residence, and recedes into irrelevance. And I don't think we'll know. First, let's see if he loses. Then we'll figure out what he's going to do. Neptune says Sam Cedar won't win. He grows slow like the cedar tree. Clever. Maggie Lee Preston says, hey, love the show. I want to learn a little more about political analysis. What would you recommend in terms of books or resources? That's so tough. I mean, there's just so much. I'm not the right person to ask. I would do a Google search. I think that's the way to go. I do want to mention that this month is the 15-year anniversary of the David Pakman Show. It will mark 15 years of programming. Now, of course, a lot of that time I was still in school and it was sort of like an afterthought. I would show up every 2 weeks and talk for an hour. But it is still very exciting. And I am hoping that we will bring in the largest number of new members in a single month this month. So consider yourself invited to go to my website, joinpacman.com, grab a membership. Membership is the primary source for funding our operations, connectivity, equipment, new microphones like this beautiful specimen, employee benefits and health insurance and all of this stuff. So, for example, Pamela Kammerer just became a member and she's new member number 10. Cam Roy is new member number 11. You can sign up at joinpacman.com. It's quick. It feels good. The website works beautifully, and you don't even have to pay full price because you can use this coupon code 2020 now. What's better than getting 66% off but getting all of the benefits? You get all of them. And when does your price go up? Never. We don't do low introductory price. We don't do pay only shipping and handling. I don't do any of that crap, okay? You get the discount. You pay $1.83 a month if you pay yearly, or $2 a month if you pay monthly. That's your price for as long as you want to keep it. You want to then upgrade because financial circumstances improve, have at it, right? Nobody's going to stop you. But there's no low introductory price stuff. I hate that stuff, okay? That's the price. And I will continue thanking folks who sign up. When is this starting? Your guess is as good as mine. Scheduled for 10 minutes ago. We know that they are very, very late all the time. Thanks to Capinator, a.k.a. Cappy, for subscribing on Twitch, as well as Music Man, Snuffalo Bill, Harvey Bolivari, Weddle Time, Ewan, and a whole bunch of other people. I saw an interesting super chat. I just want to look at this for a second. Yeah, Mo Lester. Okay, Mo Lester. Great, you got me. There's a fascinating Reddit thread delving into the difference between your Twitch and YouTube persona. Is it tiring playing different characters? I want to see that. Can somebody tell me where to find that? Is that on my subreddit? Because that actually sounds super compelling. Let me see here. Oh, I don't see that. Is it an old thread? Because I'm looking at the latest page of threads, and I don't see that about different personas. If somebody can email that to me or tell me how to find it, that would actually be really funny. I would be curious to see what people are saying about that. Okay, let me go back up. Where were we? Okay, Joel says, if you do something about Uyghurs in China, look whom paid for the report and biases. Also put in correlation to what U.S. have done against Uyghurs disinfo. Okay. Legion says, hola David, me encanta tu programa y todo lo que haces. Sigan con el buen trabajo. Translated, that means, hey David, I love your program and everything you do. Continue with the good work. Appreciate that. Spanish super chats always welcome. Johnny Minogue says, did you hear Rhode Island is now on the Massachusetts travel restricted states? This is having me concerned about another Massachusetts shutdown coming soon. Well, listen, Charlie Baker should have shut down indoor dining here weeks ago. We are headed in the wrong direction. Hundreds of new cases. Let's actually look at where the data is. Data and data. I like both of them. So where is Massachusetts here? Okay, here we are. We had this. Look at this. Oh my God, we crushed the curve. And then this is a slow burn, but we're starting to see the numbers climb. We were down to, 200 cases a day. In this area, we started hitting 230, 250, 280, 300, 400. We've got to shut it down. And our active cases were down, and then now they're coming back up. Deaths are not yet back up, but that's because there's about a 20-day lag. So I don't like it. I don't like it, and I think we need to shut it down right away. Right away. Neptune says, can you stream a video game? Maybe Sonic. I mean, listen, I'm streaming chess later, but that's worldometers.info. People asking about that website. Once I did a stream of me doing a speed run of Super Mario World, and I never did it again because I was ridiculed too much. Unknown Prodigy says, do you know what the chess lesson is on tonight? No, I mean, I think it's just a way for me not to get embarrassed during PogChamps 2. That's the focus. Waller is me says nearly 920,000 subscribers. Nice. Thanks for making these bearable. Yeah, let's see. We're at 918 and a half. In fact, we have 6,000 people watching on YouTube right now. Assuming a bunch of you are already subscribers, even if like half of you hit the sign up button right now, which is free, subscribe, we could get to 920. We're in a race to 1 million, and I think we're going to do very, very well. Extremely well. It's going to be something nobody has ever seen before. Donna Williams says, can Trump be stopped from giving his speech at the White House? I assume you mean the RNC speech. No, he probably can't be stopped, unfortunately. Morton Nilsson says, stalling video can be fixed by lowering resolution. You're talking about kind of two different things there, Morton. The problem yesterday with the YouTube stream was that something was wrong with YouTube mobile. And that's a different. You're saying if somebody watching has a slow connection, and you're right. But yesterday's problem was a different one. Essential says, where to watch first year Pac-Man streams. On YouTube. You can just go all the way back to the beginning and find my YouTube videos from 2009. It's a little bit cringe, I'm not going to lie, but they are there. Eric Dolan asks, do you think Trump will have the HBO interview on his mind during this press conference? Well, he did a press conference yesterday. I don't know if that was on his mind. Shannon Clark has signed up. Waffles Giraffles says, tell Botez that the SM7B is a top address mic. I don't even know what that means. Garrison Spangler and Desiree have grabbed and upgraded subscriptions. _door says, I'm in New Zealand, just had a drop in unemployment. Do you think the press needs to bring unemployment comparisons to light? I hear people compare our COVID reaction to the USA, but the after effects seem more relevant. Yeah, the economic impacts are related to the way you deal with the virus. And part of why the American economy won't recover for a long time is because we've dealt with the virus so poorly. I mean, it's an unmitigated disaster here. And I know that people like Kayleigh McEnany and Trump and others keep saying we're doing well. You would have to be willfully ignorant or delusional or just unable to understand anything to think that the United States has done a good job. There's not even any argument. Thanks to Truth Seeker and Imaudi0325 for the subscriptions. I appreciate that. Amy Gray says, I would pay money for a member of the press to ask Trump, why are you always late? I would love that. I would love that. Dave Wampler asks, is the Axios interview Trump's lowest point among non-cult? I don't know the answer to that. It was a very low point. It was a very low point. Master McLeavy over on Twitch has subscribed and says, happy to be here for 6 months, David. I'm happy you've been here for 6 months. Thanks to Baby Love Number 1, Night Tour, and Darth Snoosh for subscribing on Twitch as well. Appreciate that. Simp King 1576 says, what if coronavirus gets to the point the best way to stop the spread is to kill the host of the virus like anyone who has the virus? That's completely idiotic. And even if you thought that morally it was acceptable, in the process of doing so, more people would catch it and you'd have to kill more and more people. I assume that that's a complete and total joke. If not, please seek help. Betty Gibson is new member number 12 today at joinpacman.com. Blake Bender and John Townsend are new members number 13 and 14. Joe Maldonado and Dylan Moss are new members number 15 and 16. Laura Duff, Pastor Bob Heigl, Anthony Sanchez, Robert Zimmer are new members 17, 18, 19, and 20 at joinpacman.com. That's a beautiful number. You have not missed anything if you're just joining us. Trump's just running late again. The running late has almost become a parody of itself at this point. I mean, it's just complete and total disrespect for everybody, which is the name of the game for this administration. That's Ghastly said, is there any credit to claims that they're counting deaths not actually caused by COVID? There is not. Here is Donald Trump. We're going to go over to the White House feed. I find this feed to be a better feed. It'll be about 20 seconds delayed, but we'll all be better in the long run for it. Moving slowly and gingerly today and almost dragging that right foot. That's weird.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's good to be with you. I'd like to begin by providing an update on my administration's actions to protect American workers as we battle the China virus. Since the virus escaped China, my administration has enacted $3 trillion in economic relief. It's been very, very successful, and you saw that by the numbers that were issued yesterday and the day before as to used car sales and auto production. They've been incredible numbers, actually.
Yeah.
Shockingly incredible. We've been negotiating in good faith with Democrat leaders in the House to extend relief payments. We're negotiating right now as we speak, and we'll see how that works out. But if Democrat leaders put partisan demands aside, we would reach an agreement very quickly. It would happen very quickly. In the meantime, my administration's exploring executive actions to provide protections against eviction. Eviction's a big problem, very unfair to a lot of people. It wasn't their fault that this virus came from a faraway land. As well as additional relief to those who are unemployed as a result of the virus.
For sure.
Very importantly, I'm also looking at a term-limited suspension of the payroll tax, something that has great support from many, many sides, especially
Unclear if he can do that legally.
Economists and some people that we have great respect for. So we're looking at a suspension of the payroll tax. The Democrats are primarily interested in a $1 trillion bailout of the poorly run states. We have some states and cities, you know them all. We don't have to go through names, but
The states that are poorly run and economically not viable are mostly red states. I hope you all know that.
we're not going to go along with that, especially since it's not COVID related. Earlier today, I met with a great governor, Arizona Governor
Oh, God.
Doug Ducey. He's really done a fantastic job
Terrible job.
beyond even the COVID situation, which you've been reading about as it pertains to Arizona. A state that is a model for applying a science-based approach to the decreasing cases and hospitalizations without implementing a punishing lockdown.
That's the wrong
Arizona's
analysis.
record in reducing the spread of the virus while maintaining hospital capacity and allowing society to continue functioning and functioning very nicely
It's almost like what he says has no connection to reality.
is an example that shows how our path forward can work in other states. Arizona has a record, and a record really to be proud of. It's reduced the number of daily new cases by over 75%, cut the positivity rate in half, and reduced ER visits by 2/3, all the while keeping the economy functioning and functioning really well. When cases
I have friends in Arizona. Every single one says it's an unmitigated disaster.
visited Arizona to consult with Governor Ducey. They had long consultations with Governor Ducey and his staff, and the vice president has been in constant contact ever since. My administration is also collaborating with the state and local officials across the South and Midwest to
I
provide
encourage people to check out the YouTube video from an MIT class called How to Speak. This is breaking essentially every rule for how to do PowerPoint slides. Like, it's a excellent video. I recommend it.
million pieces of personal protection.
Patrick Winston, I believe, is the professor. Sadly passed away. How to Speak. Excellent, excellent MIT class.
We've provided over we provided over $18 billion in economic support to Arizona, including more than $8.6 billion to support over 80,000 small businesses. So we really have been helping Arizona, and it's gotten tremendous results. Our goal is to protect the most vulnerable,
Is Trump
increase
okay?
recovery rates, you know that, and it's something so important, and prevent hospital overcrowding, all the while avoiding the kind of stringent lockdowns that would inflict substantial suffering. In this phase of the battle, we have the tools, resources, and knowledge to implement a targeted approach as we race to deliver a vaccine. And we are really working very hard on the vaccine, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. I've been meeting with officials of some of the greatest companies in the world, been meeting with scientists, and they're getting very close. If not there, they're getting very close. They're testing. Any proper analysis of infection control measures must take into account the short-term and long-term public health harms, including death caused by a far-reaching shutdown. When you shut down, you have many, many things that happen, from suicides to depression to drinking, alcohol problems to drug problems, to problems with marriages.
Trump wants to save your marriage by sending your kids to school.
Their house, their apartment, for long periods of time.
To maybe bring back the virus to your house.
Also, instead, Arizona's adopted the following measures. The governor advised residents to aggressively social distance when possible and maintain strict hygiene. The state encouraged mask use in crowded public places, especially when social distancing is not possible. The governor also exercised his discretion to restrict capacity at indoor locations to limit the possibility of super spreading. It's a big thing. My administration surged treatments. We got them a lot of treatments and therapies to the state, including nearly 70,000 vials of remdesivir, enough to treat over 11,000 patients, and it's been very successful, I might add. My administration also delivered PPE and point-of-care testing to over 100 Arizona nursing homes. In total, the federal government has provided massive amounts of masks and equipments and gowns, and you know some of those numbers. But Arizona was a very big beneficiary, and they very much really appreciated. More than 1,000 National Guard and medical personnel have also been deployed in Arizona, and they've really helped. They've been terrific, and I want to thank them. They have been brave and brilliant, combination of both. We also supported our tribal communities. The tribal communities were hit very, very hard. Governor Ducey and I personally delivered rapid testing systems.
Anybody know why the focus is only on Arizona today? Any idea?
It's been really in originally bad shape and now getting better and very, very quickly. The Navajo Nation now has one of the highest levels of testing per capita anywhere in the world. We really worked very hard on the tribal areas and in particular, in this case, the Navajo Nation. They've done incredibly well. Overall, Arizona has conducted over 1.1 million tests, more than the entire nations of Japan, Mexico, and Switzerland. Arizona's per capita testing is higher than Germany, South Korea, France, and Canada. And tribal governments in Arizona have received nearly $1.3 billion for the coronavirus relief fund. Meanwhile, outdoor dining, limited indoor dining, and most of the other businesses in Arizona have remained open and very vibrant. They're doing incredibly well. This is an approach, and it's an approach that's been incredibly successful. Arizona has been able to protect high-risk populations and quickly bring its outbreak under control without the need to impose overly punitive measures. Thanks to advances in treating the virus, the fatality rate across all age groups in Arizona is very low. Arizona's scientific and data-driven strategy also preserved hospital capacity, ensuring that those who need care were able to receive it and receive it immediately, very quickly. At the peak, approximately 15% of beds remained available statewide. That was at their peak, with roughly 20% of all occupied beds going to patients hospitalized for the virus. They kept other things going. They kept other forms of operations going. They kept elective surgery going. Did a really amazing job. Today, only 6% of the current hospitalizations in the state are related to the China virus. Arizona has also demonstrated success in protecting the state's African-American population. Only 5% of patients hospitalized were African American, and African Americans represent
This is
just
weird.
2% of all deaths from the virus. As it has worked to contain its outbreak, Arizona has also been formulating a plan to get children safely back to school as soon as possible. We want our schools open all over the country. We want our schools open. Arizona's worked
Check out how that went in Georgia.
very well. The Department of Education is providing Arizona schools with $625 million. They're working very hard, and that's in conjunction with CARES funding. My administration is actively working with other states in the same way we worked with Arizona. In recent weeks, members of the coronavirus task force have visited over 15 states to encourage them to follow our path forward, including Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, Indiana, and Ohio. And I'll be going to Ohio tomorrow. I look forward to it very much.
No.
It's a great place and a great state with an excellent governor, and we look forward to being there tomorrow. Next week, Dr. Burke, we'll be visiting Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And also, I believe they're trying to get in West Virginia, a great place, a great state, and I'm sure
Nothing
that
better
will
than just
happen
flying all
because
over
we'd
the
like
place,
it to
huh?
happen. They'd like to see her. So we're going to try very hard to get the doctor to West Virginia, in addition to those states, to deliver aggressive, tailored, and targeted guidance. The strategy we're taking to these states will protect those at highest risk while allowing others at a lower risk to safely resume work and school. If we do this successfully, it can be really something incredible because we're talking about a lot of states. We're talking about many, many states. It's really great to see also that Florida, we're coming down. It's coming down and pretty substantially in many.
Remember, Florida stopped testing on Thursday because of the hurricane. They were supposed to resume today. It's crazy.
California, likewise, and Texas, like
California also admitted that they've been underreporting cases. This is lunacy.
reduction. It recognizes that prolonged lockdowns impose a wide range of serious public health threats, including higher levels of suicide, drug overdoses, and other significant health harms resulting from the depression that we talked about, social isolation, economic hardship. It's been very tough for those people that are put in a lockdown position for too long. Really has been a very tough and harmful situation for many people. The fact is that these harms are not measured daily here or abroad. It makes them really a very serious threat because people don't know exactly what they are and how bad they are. But I think they're very bad. Going forward, we must continue to remain vigilant in shielding the elderly and those with underlying conditions. Approximately half of all deaths have occurred in nursing homes and long-term care facilities, which is an incredible number and statistic if you think about it. I also urge Americans to help us stop the spread of the virus, practice good hygiene, socially distance, avoid large crowds, and wear a mask where distancing is not possible. It's a patriotic thing to do. If you are sick, isolate yourself, especially from high-risk family members and friends. So important. Isolate yourself from high-risk family members and friends if you're not feeling well. Together, we will defeat the virus and emerge from this safer and stronger than ever. Thanks to the robust federal action in partnership with state and local leaders, new cases of the virus are declining in 80% of the jurisdictions, which is an incredible number.
Yesterday it was 70%, and we still don't know what they mean by jurisdictions.
Since last week, 0 states have seen outbreaks get worse since yesterday. So 0 states.
Since yesterday? What? How is that even relevant statistically?
The development of a vaccine. This is something so important. Also, therapeutics are on the front burner. We're having tremendous, I think we'll let you know very soon, I think long before the end of the year. We're having tremendous success on therapeutics and tremendous success on vaccines, and we're ready to deliver them literally as soon as they're okayed. This morning, my administration approved $1 billion for Johnson & Johnson, who's been working very hard, and they have something very special, to manufacture and distribute 100 million doses of a China virus vaccine as soon as one is available.
China virus vaccine.
And again, we think that's going to be soon, and we think we're going to.
China's going to end up having like the first, really solid vaccine, the way things are going, just, in terms of the way it's been going, could happen. And then Trump's going to have to end up getting a China virus vaccine from China.
Nationwide, providing assistance to human trafficking victims, a terrible thing. You think of human trafficking as being an ancient form of crime.
Trafficking.
It's not, because of the internet. It's a very modern crime all over the world, not just here, all over the world, human trafficking. It's usually in women or women and children. But it's, again, because of the internet, it's a terrible situation, never been like this. And also survivors who face heightened dangers during the pandemic. It's actually increased during the pandemic. I guess some reasons are obvious and some reasons are less obvious, but human trafficking, we're working very, very strongly. The wall is up to 277 miles right now.
Wait, so is the wall working and fewer people than ever are coming over, or is human trafficking up, as he says? How is it both?
And it's had a tremendous impact, a very positive impact on human trafficking, unbelievable impact, actually. My administration will never rest in our fight.
Human trafficking is way up, but the wall's had a huge impact on it. Okay.
Horrific of crimes, and we work very hard on that. With that, we'll take some questions. Please.
Two quick questions. Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, you said that voting by mail is an invitation to fraud. Could you lay out and tell us exactly where the evidence is right now that mail-in ballots in Nevada and other states will lead?
He'll mention something about New York having to redo an election.
Even the Washington Post had a terrible story on mail-in, and the New York Times, and many newspapers have had terrible stories. You see them all over the internet. They've had some just horrible stories on mail-in ballots. You look at Arizona, you don't even have to have, as you know, they have a provision where they don't have to check signatures. So you sign it and you could have a totally different signature. It's okay. It won't be approved. They have the right to go 7 days after the election for approval. So you're not even going to know who won the state of Nevada.
Oh, you were talking about Nevada. Oh, I just wanted to point out we did call Nevada's Secretary of State's Office Election Division, and the spokeswoman there said that that simply isn't true, Mr.
That's
President,
Kira
and that Nevada will continue to check ballot signatures against voter registration cards. It's done at the county level.
Okay, but that's not what they said when they approved it. They said they're not going to check signatures. They're not going to be able to, and their machinery, which is old, doesn't
Untrue.
allow them to. So they're going to be. It's going to be physically impossible for
Untrue.
them to do that, especially in a short period of time. In addition, you have the November 3rd election, and they're allowed to count votes until 7 days after.
So we know on November 10, maybe. Okay, what's the big deal? It might not even be that close, by the way.
Nevada, which is a big state and a great state, a state I like very much, and I think we're going to do very well there.
This isn't going to come down to Nevada.
After November 3rd, if it comes down to Nevada, which it could
It
very
won't.
well.
It won't.
I don't think so. I don't think it's appropriate.
Trump's
So,
worried about not knowing by November 10th, yet he's floating the idea of delaying the election.
with the harvesting you're going to have, with people being sent ballots all over that have maybe nothing to do with the state anymore, it's a terrible thing. In New York, they had the Carolyn Maloney
Here we go.
situation, and I criticized it badly over the last 2 years and 2 days. I mean, I gave it
2
some very,
years.
very strong criticism, and all of a sudden, like a miracle, they just approved the winner. Well, what happened? Did the person that was second concede the race, even though it was very close and all mixed up? They have a terrible situation in New York with the ballots, you know that. And as soon as I said, well, I think you should have a new election, because the election, obviously, they're not going to know what to do. I think you should have a new election. They all of a sudden announced a winner. I assume it was her, but they announced a winner.
Crystal clear.
Well, I don't agree with it. Did somebody speak to the person on the other side, the opponent? Did they do something for the opponent on the other side? Take a look at Patterson, New Jersey.
These are wild, unfounded conspiracies he's asserting here.
Going on with the mail-in ballots. They send out millions of ballots. They're totally unprepared to do it. And then they come back in the millions. It's going to be a disaster. I'm doing our country a big favor by bringing it up. And, you know, from a
We should be thanking this guy.
common sense standpoint, if you look at it just out of common sense and pure, basic, beautiful intelligence, you know it can't work. Now, Florida's worked very hard for years and years on developing a system, and I'm sure they probably have problems also.
What about the states that are just all vote by mail and have been for years?
mail-in ballots, what you call universal mail-in ballots, are much different. You have to apply for it. You have to do different things, and it's a much better system, and it's a system that can be reasonably accurate.
Wacky.
But there's no system like going to the poll and voting. So I would like to find out why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in the midst of all of this grief, why is it that they approved the New York race? While you asked that question.
Race, sir, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud
Which one?
there.
Oh, really? Well, then you're
primary.
reading a different newspaper than me.
A delay doesn't mean that there's fraud.
Go ahead, please. Go.
Sir, you said in an interview this morning on the coronavirus, this thing's going away. It will go away like things go away, despite ongoing cases and deaths.
Going away.
Isn't that continued claim out of reality?
It's going away. No, it'll go away like things go away. Absolutely. It's,
Eventually, he'll
no
be right.
question in my mind, it will go away.
Could be a year and a half.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Mr. President, you praised Governor Ducey's handling of the epidemic in his state. One of the things that he did was delay the start of public schools opening. Is that a model that governors in states experiencing hotspots should do as the beginning of school does in prep?
Well, I'd like to see the schools open. I think many of the schools, most of the schools will be open. I can say that Republican areas want to see them open, and the Democrats probably want to keep them closed until after November 3rd.
For safety.
They think it's good for them politically. I actually don't think it's good for them politically. Parents want the schools open. We want them open. We want them open safely. We're going to practice very strong hygiene and all of the other things that I've enumerated
squeaky.
many times. But we want to see the schools open.
You're encouraging states to follow Governor Ducey's model here, and what part of that model was
His model, I just think he's done a very good job. I mean, he's really done a great job. You look at the
Incoherent.
numbers, you look at how it's dropped, and very rapidly, he's done a great job. He's a great governor. Please.
In an interview this morning, Mr. President, you were talking about opening the schools, and you said children are virtually immune from COVID-19, but children have contracted this virus, and some have died.
When I
from
say
it.
that, I'm talking about from getting very sick. If you look at children, I mean, they're able to throw
Does
it off
death
very
count?
easily. And it's an amazing thing because some flus, they don't. They get very sick and they have problems with flus and they have problems with other things. But for whatever reason, the China virus, children handle it very well.
China.
And they may get it, but they get it and it doesn't have much of an impact on them. And if you look at the numbers of in terms of mortality, fatality, the numbers for children under a certain age, meaning young, their immune systems are very, very strong. They're very powerful, and they seem to be able to handle it very well. And that's according to every statistic.
Is it right?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, at least two people connected to Kanye West's effort to get on the ballot have been connected to the Republican Party. Is this
Whose ballot?
Kanye West.
With Kanye
He's getting on the
West?
ballot,
Oh.
including in swing states. And as you know, his wife has raised issues about whether he's having mental issues right now. So my question to you is,
Hey, Kanye West does? I don't know that. Who said that?
his wife said he might be going through an episode.
I don't
But
know.
anyway, my question
I
to
like
you
him.
is,
I mean, I like him. He's always been very nice to me.
are you
That's all that
aware
matters.
of any of the
About
efforts?
Kanye West.
Are you aware of or have you encouraged anyone in the party to help him get on the ballot, including in swing
No,
states?
not at all. No, not at all. Other than I get along with him very well. I like him. I like his wife. His wife recommended certain people, as you know, including Alice Johnson, who's a fantastic woman, but his wife recommended certain people to get out of prison. They were in prison for a long time, a long, long time. It should have never happened. And I took what she said very strong. Kim Kardashian.
Yep. Kim.
And
Power.
he's got a good heart, very good heart. And I like Kanye
Is
very
this
much. No, I
reality,
have
guys?
nothing to do with him getting on the ballot. We'll have to see what happens. We'll see if he gets on the ballot. But I'm not involved. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you, the group of Republican senators are backing $25 billion in payroll assistance to keep the airlines being able to pay their payrolls. Do you endorse that
They're
plan?
doing what Republican senators are
Republican
doing.
senators want to go ahead with another $25 billion for airlines to keep their payrolls going.
Well, if they need it, certainly that's a business. Some businesses are doing better than they would normally. Obviously, we know what those businesses are. And obviously, the airline business is not doing very well. You have
Right.
shutdowns all over the world, and you have airlines that are essentially shut down. Some airlines are doing, modest. The best they're doing is modest. I think it's very important that we keep the airlines going. There'll be very good times very soon, I hope. And we don't want to lose our airline. So if they're looking at that, whether they're Republican or Democrat, I'd be certainly in favor. We can't lose our transportation system. Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you too on Beirut. So there's been some question about your comments yesterday.
Yes.
Saying that it was an attack and that you'd heard from military officials that there was, an explosion that looked like some sort of a bomb.
What it was. I can tell you, whatever happened, it's terrible, but they don't really know what it is. Nobody knows yet. At this moment, they're looking. It could. I mean, how can you say accident? Somebody was, left some terrible explosive type devices and things around. Perhaps it was that. Perhaps it was an attack. I don't think anybody can say right now. We're looking into it very strongly. Right now, it's. You have some people think it was an attack, and you have some people that think it wasn't.
That's not what's being said.
In any
right
event,
now.
it was a terrible event, and a lot of people
He's
were killed.
doubling down.
And
Oh my God.
a tremendous number of people were badly wounded, injured, and we're standing with that country. We have a very good relationship with that country, but it's a country.
What's it called again?
It's a lot of turmoil, a lot of problems, but we stand with them.
Thank you. You said earlier today that you are considering using the White House as the venue for your nomination speech. Senator John Thune questioned whether or not that's actually legal given the Hatch Act. Is this something that you would get clearance for?
John Thune did, right? The Republican John Thune? Oh, okay. Well, it is legal. There is no Hatch Act because it doesn't pertain to the president. But if I use the White House, we save tremendous amounts of money for the government in terms of security, traveling. If we go to another state or some other...
He golfed 284 days, and he says, I should do a campaign speech at the White House to save the taxpayers' money. 284 days he's golfed so far.
And it would be by far the least expensive location.
Right.
There'd be very little in
very
terms
concerned
of
about
that
the cost, yeah.
Tremendous traveling security with airplanes and everybody flying all over the place. So
flying all over.
I think it would be a very convenient idea. It's something that we...
I hope nobody's dumb enough to fall for this.
Just by comparison to any other location. Yeah, please.
Yeah, your son, Don Jr., tweeted yesterday asking you to direct the EPA to reject the Pebble Mine in Bristol Bay, Alaska. It's a giant copper and gold mine, and the thinking is that
rejected in what way?
Just reject its construction. The Army Corps of Engineers 2 weeks ago suggested it would be okay to proceed with the project, but it would. Sportsmen like your son are saying that it would be harmful to fisheries.
Well, I've listened to both.
Don Jr. is not a sportsman. He paid to kill an elephant, and a sportsman like his son.
Opinions, and he is very much of an environmentalist, and he was very impressed with what we did yesterday because that's one of the great environmental bills, and beyond that, ever signed since I guess over 100 years, if you think about it. It's been a long time. But I will look at both sides of it. I had heard about it. I understand they're going to be doing a briefing sometime over the next 48 hours.
This is too much.
It's going to go very quickly. I've done a lot for Alaska. I love Alaska. It's a special place. Anwar was one thing. The highway, Cove Highway, or whatever the new name is, whatever the old name is.
Whatever.
We're getting approvals for a tremendous highway that's been sought for 40 years. They've been trying to get
environmentalist sportsman Don Jr.
We've done a lot for Alaska. It's a special place, and I'll take a look at that. It's interesting. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two brief questions. First, your administration has praised ambulance drivers and the ambulance service for their role in dealing with the coronavirus.
Sure.
And recently, there has been scuttlebutt that the ambulance associations, drivers and all, have not been fully reimbursed for the work they're doing. They said they are owed $2.8.
That mask cannot contain this guy's face.
And they've only received $300 million from the Provider Relief Fund.
Not $300 million, no. Not $300 million. You mean $300 million?
At the Provider Relief Fund at HHS. Are you going to look into this?
I will. I just heard of it for the first time. The ambulance people have done an incredible job, as have the doctors, the nurses, the frontline workers. Law enforcement has been incredible. The military, FEMA. I mean, I could name almost every group. I can't.
Most powerful man in the world, folks.
But the ambulance people have done it's a tough job too. Very dangerous job, very tough job. I will certainly look in. I mean, you're telling me something that for the first time, nobody is complaining about not getting paid too much, but we'll take a look at the ambulance drivers.
The other thing, Secretary Esper said today that based on what he had heard, the incident in Beirut he felt was an accident. Now, he's disagreed with you on other things before. Do you have any comment about his remark?
Whatever if that's what he heard, I think that I've heard it both ways too. I've heard accent, I've heard, explosives, and obviously it must have been some form of explosives. But whether it was a bomb intentionally set off, it ended up being a bomb. But no, I've heard it both ways. It could have been an accident, and it could have also been something that was very offensive, and I wouldn't be very happy with that.
And you have no problem with
Just to
that?
follow up on that, Mr. President, even if you just have suspicion that the Beirut explosion is a bomb, do you have any plans of pertaining to U.S. assets in the region, for example? I mean, how are you looking into this?
We're working very closely with the government, and we're working very closely with many different agencies, including the military, and we'll be able to figure it out. We already probably have figured it out. Thank you very much, everybody.
He's got to get out before someone says, Mr. President, do you know what country Beirut is in? And having to get out quick before that question comes up. Wow. These, I don't know that he should really be doing these anymore, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's helping anything. And I think every time he has a bad interview, like the Axios fiasco, he's like, okay, let me do something. I'll call into Fox and Friends this morning. And then, as we looked at earlier, that went totally wrong. So then it's like, let me go out and read some stuff about how great Arizona is and answer. He can't stop himself. I think that it is time to cancel these again. If you're heading out on YouTube, please do me a very small favor. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1 million subscribers by Election Day. If just 100 of you do it, we'll be at 919. We're at 918 right now. We'll get to 919. So please consider doing that. If you're over on Twitch, I'll be back very, very soon with a new stream. And I look forward to seeing everybody probably in 25 or 30 minutes or so at twitch.tv/David Pakman.